restlessness in its faculty of feeling, discovers in that tranquil light the secret presence of God. Attaining self-mastery and control of the mind. Extracts from lectures by Paramahansa Yogananda. Verse 18. When the chitta, feeling, is absolutely subjugated and is calmly established in the self, the yogi, thus devoid of attachment to all desires, is spoken of as the God united. When the human heart is constantly absorbed in divine blessedness, it is automatically disunited from the lesser pleasures of the senses. If a man sees a beautiful estate, permitting his eyes, mind, and intelligence to enjoy it impersonally, without a desire to possess it, he is not being entangled by his visual perception. But the sense-identified individual, at the very sight of the charming tract, may be seized by lust for its possession. The materialist, therefore, has no control of his chitta, or feeling. He is ruled by uncontrolled emotions that lead to the miseries born from likes and dislikes. In this stanza, the Gita points out that the yogi should be fully concentrated in enjoying the blessed perception of the soul, and thus so absorb his feeling that they are uninfluenced by material longings. Verse 19. The illustration of an unflickering flame of light in a windless spot may be used in reference to a yogi who has conquered his feeling, chitta, by the practice of meditation on the self. As a steady flame of light from a candle or oil lamp, sheltered from the wind, reveals the beauty of material objects around it, so the unwavering light of inner concentration, free from gusts of restlessness, reveals the everlasting glory of spirit. To keep a candle flame unflickering, it must be sheltered from any breeze. Similarly, the flame of the yogi's meditation-born perception must remain steadily burning, undisturbed and unwavering before the gusts of delusion, impassioned feeling. A yogi who thus guards the flame of peace from the onrush of momentary desires and innate likes and dislikes arising from the uncontrolled restlessness in his faculty of feeling, chitta, discovers in that tranquil light the secret presence of God. As a flickering light, cannot distinctly review the outlines of objects near it, so the spiritual perception of a yogi who is agitated by material desires does not reveal within him the clear presence of the divine. Verse 20. The state of complete tranquility of the feeling, citta, attained by yoga meditation, in which the self, ego, perceives itself as the self, soul, and is content, fixed in the self. Verse 21. The state in which the sense transcended immeasurable bliss becomes known to the awakened intuitive intelligence, in which the yogi remains enthroned, never again to be removed. Verse 22. The state that, once found, the yogi considers as the treasure beyond all other treasures. Anchored therein, he is immune to even the mightiest grief. Verse 23. That state is known as yoga, the pain-free state. The practice of yoga is therefore to be observed resolutely and with a stout heart. When by the practice of yoga, the feeling no longer flickers with distractions, those gusty conditioned responses to the machinations of nature, but is immersed in interiorized concentration, the body identified pseudo-soul discovers its true self and becomes enwrapped in the bliss of the spirit-identified soul. In the unwavering light of sense-transcendent intuitive perception, the reflected shadowy ego first commingles with the image of its true self, and then unites with the omnipresent flame of spirit. The inner blaze of eternal bliss destroys forever all the dream shadows of suffering. Stanzas 20 and 21 describe the four states of primary ecstasy attained by the yogi in the advanced stages of yoga, in Samprajñata or Savikalpa Samadhi, which in turn lead to the highest Samadhi, Asamprajñata or Nirvikalpa Samadhi. The ultimate union referred to in stanza 23 as the pain-free state. In the first state of primary ecstasy, the body-identified ego in meditation meets its true self, the soul. It begins to taste the blessedness of the bliss of the soul and becomes content, concentrated, fixed in the joy of that nature. As a result of that one-pointed concentration, the yogi attains the second state, complete tranquility of the feeling. His attention, intellect, and feeling, operative in the Savikalpa states of Savitarka, Savichara, and Sananda Samprajñana Samadhi, have become entirely divorced from their sense-identified gross functions, and in their subtle nature are anchored in the bliss of the soul, in the susmita state of pure individualized being. When the external activities of the faculties of intelligence are arrested and the cognitive instruments turned within, the intelligence then draws its knowing power from the intuition of the soul. In this sense-transcendent state, the inner bliss is thus known to the awakened intuitive intelligence. Discovering the soul, the yogi also begins to perceive within his being the bliss of the omnipresent God. After the physical ego metamorphoses into its true self, the soul, then the bliss of the soul expands and merges into the greater bliss of the spirit. In the third state, the yogi experiences not only intermittent ecstasy, but finds his cosmic contact existing permanently beneath his consciousness, to be enjoyed any time he enters the Savikalpa Samadhi state. The last state of the fourfold primary ecstasy is attained when the yogi becomes absorbed in the cosmic bliss, not only in the meditative state of samadhi, but also when he is able to bring his divine perceptions with him when he returns to the conscious state of bodily activity. He is gradually able to hold on to these after effects of samadhi for longer and longer periods, during which he is undisturbed by any pain, the evil effects of nature's alternating conditions of duality. When he can remain perpetually in that pain-free state, he is spoken of as having mastered all four states of primary ecstasy. He then passes on to the state of the secondary or the highest ecstasy, asamprajñata or nirvikalpa samadhi. He becomes one with spirit, enthroned never again to be removed. Never again to come down to the painful sphere of body identification. Even in the fourth state of the primary ecstasy, complete liberation from physical and mental pain is not possible, owing to the soul's being conscious of the body and manipulated by its faculties as soon as any diminution occurs in the yogi's perception of divine bliss. The highly advanced yogi may experience brief periods of nirvikalpa consciousness, asamprajñata, even before becoming permanently established in that state. Nirvikalpa Samadhi, permanent extinguishment of suffering. Clear categorical distinctions are not always possible in defining the yogi's experiences and realizations, for they may be an intermixture of status or a matter of degree, depending on the quality and object of his meditation. For example, a person may point to a leaf in a painting and say, for all practical purposes, it is green, but an artist will be more accurately describe it as a mixture of yellow and blue, expressing more or less of either one or the other pigment. Similarly, the term yoga, or divine union, is applicable to various stages of realization, but its ultimate meaning is absolutely union with spirit. absolutely union in the permanent establishment of the consciousness in nirvikalpa or asamprajñata samadhi. Thus, for the purpose of comparison, the true or ultimate nirvikalpa state, the state without difference, is when the yogi is permanently and irrevocably united to God in both the meditative and the physically active spheres of consciousness, as contrasted with intermediate experiences of this state. When the soul of the yogi is forever united in nirvikalpa samadhi to spirit, it cannot again experience any physical or mental suffering. This state is spoken of in Samkhya philosophy as the permanent extinguishment or uprooting of all physical, mental, and spiritual causes of suffering. The true definition of yoga is given in these stanzas. The purpose of yoga is to furnish a practical means for uniting the body-identified ego, or pseudo-soul, with the true spirit-identified soul. Yoga also means the complete union of the soul with the spirit, the source from which it emanated. In the 23rd stanza, every spiritual seeker is advised to practice yoga, not in a haphazard or depressed state of mind, but with great enthusiasm and perseverance. He should try undauntedly to unite his ego with his soul, and his soul with spirit, until he reaches the final beatitude, in which the soul is never again to be separated from spirit. The reincarnation making past seeds of good and bad actions are forever roasted in the all-consuming fire of ultimate wisdom. Make today's meditation deeper than yesterday's, and tomorrow's deeper than today's. The Gita points out the impossibility of attaining satisfaction by practicing yoga methods desultorily. Every yogi should joyfully try to make his daily meditation deeper than the previous day's meditation. His yoga practice of tomorrow should always be deeper than the one of today. Again, the yogi should not be satisfied by deep meditation for 1 or 2 years, but should practice yoga with every increasing intensity to the end of his life, and for incarnations if necessary. Better is to try to be free in one life or in a few lives than to undergo the suffering of thousands of incarnations, owing to lack of continuous effort for salvation. The yogi who is not determined to meditate until final emancipation is achieved by the removal of all seeds of karma lodged in the subconsciousness, is apt to be discouraged and to give up his yoga practice because he has not quickly found the ultimate state. He should, however, intensely meditate without concentrating on the fruits of his actions. The following story will encourage laborious, disheartened yogis. A man planted a flower seed in his garden. He looked after it, steadfastly weeding and watering the soil around it. our bossed plant appeared. But for years, no flower. He thought of destroying the plant, but finally decided, my business is to look after the plant. It is for God to produce the flower. I will keep myself busy in tending the plant and not in concentrating on my flowerless labors. Years passed. He contented himself with the care of the plant and forgot all about the flower. One sunny morning, when a breeze was gently blowing, he smelled a strangely attractive fragrance. He ran to his plant and stood speechless in joy. There in front of him was the gorgeous flower. The aromatic beauty had always been present in the plant, a hidden potential awaiting the right moment of blossoming, made possible by his labor of love. The yogi should similarly keep himself busy, nurturing his plant of self-realization. If he is not impatient, he will find, one day, when God in his infinite wisdom deems it proper, the amaranthine flower of eternal freedom. Verse 24. Relinquish without exception all longings born of sankalpas, plannings, and completely control, surely with the mind, the sensory organs, the sensory powers, and their contact with the ubiquitous sense objects. To reach the inner sanctum of God, the yogi should raise his inwardly marching attention so that it is not seized by the bandits of outer sensations or by the stronger villains of overpowering restless thoughts and desires that lurk in the path of concentration. The yogi, while meditating upon God, should not distract his attention by allowing himself to ruminate on material objects, mentally planning and replanning material activities for the fulfillment of desired ends. He should renounce without reserve all such desires born of egoistic mental plannings, and he should scoop out from within all desires that are already entrenched in the subconscious. His mind should be withdrawn from all material objects all around him that give rise to sensations of sight, hearing, smell, taste, and touch, and their resultant multifarious thoughts and new longings. When the mind is singularly concentrated in meditation, all distractions are arrested. But until such interiorization is mastered, the devotee must persistently practice mind control, and he should also take common sense measures to eliminate, or at least minimize, invasive external stimuli. All beginner yogis should therefore close their eyes during meditation, shutting off all distracting sights. It is also good for them to meditate in quiet surroundings. In certain techniques, such as meditation on Om, it is advised to practice with ears closed. These precautions help to eliminate sounds, the most distracting of all sensations. The yogi should be careful also to meditate in a place devoid of extreme heat or cold, and of pervasive good or bad odors, lest his sense of touch and smell be stimulated. A place frequented by such tormentors as mosquitoes or ants should be avoided. Nor should the meditator keep in his mouth spices or chewing gum, or other such stimuli that excite gustatory sensations, which in turn might cause mental diversion. When the senses are quiet, sensations are not aroused, distracted thoughts do not arise. When the thoughts do not arise, subconscious thoughts do not spring up. The yogi, who is careful to remove all causes of external and inner disturbances, can easily concentrate within. Verse 25. With intuitive discrimination, saturated in patience, with the mind absorbed in the soul, the yogi, freeing his mind from all thoughts, will by slow degrees attain tranquility. The yogi, whose mind has been freed from external and internal distractions, is then advised to guide his intuitive discrimination, buddhi, in its pure or sense-transcendent state, gradually inward, to perceive the soul's bliss, not permitting any form of mental wandering. No matter how often the yogi's mind is distracted during meditation, he should exercise great patience. By continuous daily effort, he will succeed in establishing his mind on the joy of the soul. The new devotee may be discouraged by receiving only occasional blissful perceptions, interrupted constantly by fierce invasions of restless thoughts. The yogi is therefore exhorted to try patiently again and again until he is able firmly to fix his concentration on his inward goal. If a glass vessel is filled with muddy water and then placed on the table, after a little while, the mud particles settle down to the bottom of the glass. Similarly, if a person patiently waits for his mental mud to settle down and does not nervously stir up the water, the mud will not again rise to the surface. The particles in a glass of water will be clearly seen to be settling down to the bottom if the glass is not disturbed. The movements of the mud do not indicate agitation, but a mere settling down process. The ordinary man's mind, similarly, is muddy with myriads of restless thought streams running into the river of his consciousness. During ordinary activity, the invading thoughts are completely homogenized with his consciousness. This is why the average man does not know how restless he is. He discovers it to his dismay when he starts to practice yoga. For the first time in his life, he begins then to stand aside in a conscious witness of the bewildering torrent of his thoughts. He may become erroneously convinced that his mind is made more restless by yoga than by worldly activities. Such a beginner yogi, watching aghast his unsettled and disobedient thoughts, is cautioned in this stanza not to abandon meditation in despair, thus denying himself all chance of mind control. Rather, he should patiently wait the settling down of his restless thoughts, Their commotion is just a prelude to their dissolution by yoga. The undiscouraged yogi will find his mind finally free from all distractions, gradually identifying himself with his witnessing intuitive discrimination. Adroitly bypassing the intruders of restless thoughts, the yogi attains the unshakable divine tranquility. Verse 26. Whenever the fickle and restless mind wanders away, for whatever reason, let the yogi withdraw it from those distractions and return it to the sole control of the self. This advice is for the new yogi on how to cope with the unruly, distracting thoughts that arise, for some reason or for no reason, when he sits to meditate. When a horse pulling a carriage tugs hard at the reins through unruliness or fright and tries to bolt from the path, an experienced driver will be able to subdue the animal. It requires the skill of both firmness and kindly patience. Similarly, as often as the subconsciously excited stallion of restless thoughts pulls the concentrating mind off on a tangent, the charioteer of discrimination should make repeated efforts to establish its authority. No matter how many times restlessness invades the mind, the yogi should guide his thoughts toward self-realization. Mental restlessness during meditation causes unhappiness. Inner concentration on the soul produces unending joy. Verse 27. The yogi, who has completely calmed the mind and controlled the passions and freed them from all impurities, and who is one with spirit, verily he has attained supreme blessedness. This stanza points out that the successful devotee, by repeated mental efforts to destroy restlessness, has overcome all obstacles in the path of yoga. By interiorized concentration, he has stilled the mind, disconnecting it from sensory stimuli, and has also controlled the passions, rajas, the activated and activating emotional responses to sensory stimuli. All activities of nature are a result of rajas, the activating quality, guna, of material creation. Rajas is either good or evil according to each of the other gunas, sattva or tamas, predominates in that activity. The nature-born dualities of good and evil are the impurities from which the soul must be freed in order to express its true nature. When the activating power in the mind is stilled by concentration, unruly thoughts wane into nothingness, and all restlessness ceases. The yogi becomes absorbed in the transcendent bliss of the soul, free from all taint of relativities. Owing to the lack of activity, cessation of responses of the mind to external stimuli, and subsequent stilling of inner restlessness, the yogi attains a deep interiorized state of samadhi, in which his blissful oneness with spirit is accompanied by bodily fixation. Verse 28. The yogi, free from all impurities, ceaselessly engaging the self, thus in the activity of yoga, divine union, readily attains the blessedness of continuous emergence in the spirit. The 27th stanza cited the yogi who becomes free from the dualities of good and evil by forcibly holding the mind in the inactive state of ecstasy. The 28th stanza now speaks of the yogi who remains free, the enjoyer of cosmic bliss, during the state of activity also, when his mind returns to its normal external functions. The yogi, who at will can perceive the spirit in the state of ecstasy without bodily activity, ultimately learns to retain his infinite consciousness during the performance of actions. Every yogi should therefore refuse to succumb to the invasions of restlessness during meditation. When he is able to hold his concentration steady in the state of inner calmness, he perceives the soul. By further perseverance, he enters into ecstatic bliss and realizes the spirit. The fully accomplished yogi can move about in the world of relativity unstained by its dualities, remaining steadfastly in the blessed state of Brahma Samsparsha, the bliss of the touch of spirit. Excerpts from the book God Talks with Arjuna.